Yo, Sanju Uchiha here, people. Bring you another review of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. This week, I'm bringing you my episode 28 review. And of course, as usual, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the episode and this review. And make sure to hit that bell to get notifications for when I upload videos as usual. So getting right into it, I definitely have to say this episode was definitely one of the better episodes of this little mini arc in the Mist Village. We continue off of last week's episode where we have Kagura actually decide to take up Chojiro's offer to become one of the 7 ninja swordsmen and inherit the great twin sword Hiramekarei. Yeah, hope I pronounced that right. So there was that. So progress being made. So we continue off that, and honestly, the thing I like about this episode is that we get some interesting plot elements thrown into the mix that actually help to, I guess, kind of make the arc a bit more interesting. Because this episode we get to see Suigetsu, and like I find it to be interesting that they actually introduce him, but rightfully so because of the things involved in this episode. So the thing is, this episode revolved around, I guess, the primary antagonist of this little mini arc finally making their move, which I found to be refreshing because the sooner they get things running, the better. Honestly speaking, I didn't want them to actually stay in the Mist Village for too long. So that was definitely a plus for the episode. So we get the guy who's responsible that we met at the start of the arc, who we now know is actually Shizuma Hoshigaki. So apparently he's related to Kisame. So I don't know if he's his son, grandson, or whatever. Probably just in the same clan, more than likely. So we get him making his move, and he confronts Boruto and Kagura essentially, and we find out that he actually wants to start a war because he's opposed to the current regime, the current style of things, of I guess politics and government throughout the shinobi world, primarily in the hidden Mist Village. So apparently he plans to kill the Hokage's son, who we know is Boruto at this point. Yeah, the only son he has. Yeah, to actually, be a declaration of war to, I suppose, because as we learned in I believe it was last week's episode, the relations between the hidden mists and the countries in the Middle Sea is kind of shaky, to say the least. So killing Hokage's son would push everything into turmoil, and they basically plan to change the structure of things essentially, because at the end of the day we find out that, Shizuma says that Chojuro is actually getting rid of people who don't agree with his ways and essentially doing underhanded things behind the scenes. And he kind of uses it as a way to try to, I guess, convince Kagura to come over to his side. It seems to work by the end of it, which I kind of found a bit iffy. But we learned through flashback that Shizumi should stand up for Kagura in school and all of that. And actually, Kagura actually injured him back in the day. So apparently, Shizuma's using, I guess, the debt that Kagura owes him as a way to actually secure his place. Convince him to his side, essentially, and become one of the new 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist. Which I'm pretty sure by the end of this, they may not hold that position. Either that or they see Chojiro's side. Who knows? I definitely liked the display in terms of performance, like fighting wise in this episode. It was cool to see Boruto pull out stuff like lightning style and wind style, kind of further emphasizing that at his age, when you compare him to Naruto when it comes down to certain things, he's definitely more skilled, definitely a prodigy. At this point back in the day, Naruto didn't even know 1 elemental release, and we have Boruto knowing 2, and I believe according to some guidebooks Boruto should know 3. So it's pretty insane, honestly speaking. It does speak volumes about Boruto's skill and his potential growth in the future. I'm not gonna lie, the Boruto stream attack that we saw Boruto do in this episode, it kinda felt like some kind of pseudo Shidori, because he used wind style to actually increase his movement speed, and then he applies lightning style chakra to his kunai. So that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty creative, even though it didn't really get him anywhere, because obviously Shizuma, he called for backup from the rest of his quote-unquote ninja swordsmen, the other 5 he has on his team, and they quickly make quick work of Boruto, which was to be expected because, like, power scaling wise, Boruto, even though he's skilled and he's a prodigy, he's still nowhere on the food chain compared to these guys, honestly speaking. And the contrast between, I like that Shizuma mentions that Boruto has been pampered. It really shows a contrast between, it kind of reminds me of, in some weird way, it kind of reminds me of the Boruto Naruto the movie, in which in that movie it stood out to me that they were trying to show the contrast between the old era and the new era. I mean, being spoiled versus going through hardships and all of that. So Shizuma pointing that out was pretty cool. It was a nice little tidbit. It's not really a major part of the episode, but it's a nice little tidbit that I found to be pretty refreshing. As I mentioned before, I'm still kind of iffy on Kagura joining up. I still kind of feel like he's... Well, then again, with the information that Shizuma said to him, and I guess it's kind of debatable. It's kind of 50-50 with me in terms of how it was executed, in terms of Kagura actually going over to his side. But I'm pretty sure by the end of this, Chojuro will come out and he'll see the, and Kagura will see the light and all that. Cliche shit, I suppose. So there's that. Of course, after Boruto is actually beaten, Kagura actually, I guess, gets him out of there by going over to Shizuma's side, but he promises, well, he basically turns his back on Boruto and seems to embrace the fact that he can't change the fact that he's the 4th Mizukage's grandson, and embraces his, I guess, unbalanced tendencies. But anyway, the point is, Boruto is rescued by the same guy that we saw get his throat cut last week, which was pretty out of nowhere. And we see Sarada and him patch up Boruto, and they decide to actually see they can get back Kagura to their side. And by the end of the episode, we actually see Kagura and Shizuma and the rest of these quote-unquote ninja swordsmen actually go to the location of the rest of the ninja swords, which was pretty cool to see. And of course, the episode ends there. Definitely one of the better episodes, as I mentioned. It really helps to push the plot along with introducing interesting plot elements in the form of like Suigetsu. We get 2 shots of him, one in the beginning and one towards the end. And of course, it's I think it's perfect execution, because since Suigetsu had knowledge on the 7 ninja swords, and you know, he had some kind of relations with Kisame back in the day, and since we're dealing with the 7 ninja swordmen and we are in the Mist Village, it felt rightfully placed to introduce Suigetsu in this arc. And considering that Mitsuki is there, the potential character interaction between Mitsuki and Suigetsu down the line, I'm looking forward to that. So I'm wondering if, hey, you know, Orochimaru may have some tie-ins with this arc, more than likely. So that's good to see. Granted, the more I watch every week, it does seem like this arc will probably go on for at least the next, who knows, the next 5, probably 10 episodes. But that's all I have for this one. Definitely a good episode. The art overall is good. The animation definitely better than last week's episode. Definitely more fluid and dynamic, especially with the fight we got with Boruto and Shizuma and crew there. So yeah, that's all I have for this one. Sanju, Chia, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the episode review, and look forward to future Naruto content, Boruto content in the future. Hopefully I can do some by this weekend. But alright, see you guys. See you next one.